State of Play continues our discussion of items in the news. Steve Martelli of Wilmington City Council is here this week. He is joined by Stephanie Hansen, former Newcastle County Council President, and now a member of the law firm of Young, Conaway, Stargett, and Taylor. So we'll start this week with the big news fundraising-wise as far as campaign contributions connected to Chris Tigani. A little bit of a shockwave through a lot of politicians, I imagine, who have accepted surprising revelations that there's some accusations of illegal campaign contributions?
No. No, I mean, you hear murmurs about it all the time. I think that we're going to probably continue to hear quite a bit more about this because I know that the Tiganis gave quite a bit to a number of different politicians on both sides, both Democrat and Republican. You're hearing a lot about the Democrats now because they're the ones that have all the big guns at the top of the ticket. That's where the big dollars were going to.
Yeah, I also think, Mr. Tigani made himself a target on a lot of different levels for a lot of different reasons. And once you start peeling away at that onion, more things are going to pop out. And I mean, he proved, and you don't know what's going on behind the scenes with regards to the investigation. And, there's speculation that this may just prop up into a lot of folks getting involved in it. Is it a surprise? No, not to me. It's not. When you look at how much money has to be raised, I mean, it really begs the question about campaign, about having the conversation about campaign finance reform, doesn't it? Because these folks got to raise so much. From a little district in Wilmington City Council, I had to raise $10,000. Now, that may not seem like a lot of money, but it was a lot of money to me, and I was doing it at $20 a head for beef and beer. Imagine if you're running a statewide race. Senator Coons raised $2.5 million to Christine O'Donnell's something like $6 million or whatever it was. Imagine if you're on a national level. I mean, there's just so much money that's needed, and then they have to raise so much money. There's only so many times you can go back to the same offering, and there's ways to. I've heard folks say, yeah, I've made contributions in the name of my dog. Because it's not per household that you can reach the limit. It's per person. So they need to take a real long look at how the campaign finance is structured, in my opinion. And this hopefully will be the start of that.
Does this cause problems for folks running in the 2012 races? Does it cause problems for, I know the big name at the top of this is because he had donated to the vice president's campaign back when I guess he was running for president. Does it cause any problems for him?
I mean, I don't think so.
No.
I mean, I think Mr. Tigani wanted to be a bigger shot, or perceived as a bigger shot than what he is, or what he was, and so maybe he gave the impression that he was a big dollar guy with some big money, and when you get to that level of the vice presidents, or when he was the senator, those folks have relationships with the big donors, but I don't think he really was that. Of course, I don't know in that level, but I can't imagine he would have that sort of relationship with Mr. Tigani to the point where he knew where this money was coming from. And at some point, you have to give some level of plausible deniability to the candidate and say, guy made a contribution. I don't even know who the heck this guy is. I mean, I'm sure that happens all the time, folks. Again, look at Christine O'Donnell. She had money coming in from all over the country. I'm sure she didn't know where all that money was coming from.
Right.
Does this cause problems for Delaware Democrats more locally in the coming? They seem to be. You said that they were the ones at the top of the tickets on a lot of the races. Bo's kind of recused himself because he's also accepted donations from him. Does it cause problems for him?
No, I don't think it really causes that much trouble for the candidates that are going to be running, both Democrats and Republicans. It just underscores the need that you have to be as vigilant as you can be about who's contributing to your campaign, and you can't have a campaign treasurer that's going to turn a blind eye to things that are likely going on. You just have to be vigilant about it.
Let's change gears a little bit. Governor Markell finds an alternative energy company to move to Delaware with the promise of 1,500 jobs, but those are supposed to come by 2014. It's sort of another positive development with jobs coming, but it's sort of a gamble because they're not coming right away. They're coming years down the road, just like Fiskars are coming years down the road. Is it a gamble for the governor to put all his eggs sort of in 2 years and 3 years out and not get immediate results for the economy? The improvements are coming, but not for a couple of years?
Well, it sure would be better to have them here right away, but a move like that takes time. I mean, even if you've got the people in place, getting them moved to getting a new fit out of your facility done to begin manufacturing what you manufacture, that by itself is easily a 1 to 2 year process. I mean, take for example, my law firm. My law firm is moving from one downtown office building into another downtown office building. It's the old courthouse. That move, and we got people here right now, that move is taking close to 1.5 to 2 years to get everything all together. And that's, you know, it just takes a lot of time. So, I mean, you have to keep a foot in the present and a foot in the future. It would be great if he had people that could, on the ground, come in to do the job right now. But recognizing the reality is if you're going to eventually employ over 1,000 people, you're going to have a long fit-out time that's necessary. And, you know, it sounds like it's a good and reputable company. They have the right people on the boards that apparently have some influence with them. So it sounds like a good match.
And I think the bigger picture, though, is that you're seeing an actual paradigm shift in manufacturing jobs in Delaware. Delaware has historically been an automotive state, automotive manufacturing state, and a banking industry. Well, you're seeing that shift now with Bloom Energy, with Blue Wind, whether or not that gets off the ground or not. But you're seeing a shift towards green energy, technology, and industries, and I think that's huge. That's a huge look towards the future. I think the governor and his staff deserve huge accolades for thinking that progressively, not thinking about the immediate, 2012, 2013, but thinking about 2023 and 2033 and about the generations to come, which is what I think we as elected officials really should be doing. It's easy to pull the low-hanging fruit and say, look what I did, I brought 50 jobs to this area. Well, how about 1,500 jobs for the next 2 generations? I think that's huge, and the governor and his staff did a great job in doing that.
And I guess any business sort of is a gamble in starting and getting going. To have Fisker, which is, doing things very differently than other car companies, really anywhere have done or tried to do, and now Bloom Energy with this sort of new. I'm no scientist, so I don't claim to know how it all works. I've seen the videos, but sort of seems experimental in a way, and not something that's proven. Could that be a liability down the line, or is it worth taking obviously it's worth taking the chance to get the jobs here to start, but is there any longevity in that?
Well, I mean, I think a lot of people thought Henry Ford's idea and vision was experimental, and look what that did. I mean, I think a lot of people who, we look at the successes they had, and early on there was a lot of detractors and said, well, you can't do that because it's going against the status quo and the norm, and that's not what we've been doing for the last 40 years. I think it's great that we're looking at alternate means and alternate industries. I think it's awesome for the state.
I think it is too. You have to be bold sometimes and make bold decisions. And like I said, this company looks like on paper they've got all their ducks in a row. They got the right people in charge, and they're moving in the right direction. So we need to give them a shot. Could pay off very well.
And I guess for the sake of the state's economy and workers here, let's hope it works out.
Absolutely.
All right, good discussion. Thank you, Steve and Stephanie.